compliance. You will feel no pain anymore. No more defiance. Just here for your compliance.
Welcome to the Sharpe Show. So happy that some of you have joined me this evening. It is Monday, 7 p.m. on the East Coast. So happy to have you here. And I guess some of you may have watched this weekend. I was running around New York State trying my best to connect to more people and raise more awareness, which is working very well. For those of you who want to help me out with that, you can just like, comment, and share here. It will absolutely assist me in getting my name out, the word out, what we're trying to achieve here this evening. But I also wanted to do an AMA, just kind of, answer any questions that you might want to ask me about what's going on, just in general, of course. But I wanted to start off with something that kind of bothered me. Over the last couple of weeks, I've been spending time chatting with people who want to fix things. And that's common, of course. And many of the people who want to fix things, they spend time talking about, how we need more government this or government that to repair the thing that they're unhappy about, whatever that thing is. And I get it. They want to repair the thing. And they think government's the answer. But is it? And I would argue usually it's not the case, obviously. And if you agree with me, I think you'll get this. But the person I want to bring up is a guy named Kyle Kulinski. Some of you may know Kyle Kulinski. He's relatively popular. He has his own show. He's often on the Breaking Points network. Is it a network? The Breaking Points YouTube channel, if that's a network. I don't know what you call it now. I'll call it a network. I like that. So he's on the Breaking Points network also, and other things. And he does what many people who lean left do well, which is they diagnose the problem very well. They don't always have the right response to that problem. So I want to bring up what he talks about here. And he talks about a very important thing. This is not this unimportant thing. It is a piece regarding poison in children's food. So I'll bring this piece up. Here we go. Hope you can hear it.
Kind of shocks you a little bit. In Common Dreams, 94% of prepackaged and homemade U.S. baby foods contain toxic heavy metals.
Yes.
Now, this is on top of a different study that came out previously about other kinds of baby food that said a similar thing.
Yep.
So let me run through this for you.
Yep.
We have a quote here. FDA must go beyond the baby food aisle and set strong standards for these contaminants.
Now, the most important piece here is they mentioned the FDA. This is what this guy, Kenny Stansel, says. He says the FDA must go beyond the baby food aisle and set strong standards for these contaminants, meaning that we have to have stronger standards for not just baby food, but for everything and the foods you might use to make baby foods. That's what he says. And this is funny. The person who says it is this guy, Kenny Stansel, and the National Director of Healthy Babies, Bright Futures.
Said the National Director of Healthy Babies, Bright Futures. Almost all of the baby foods that parents in the United States feed their children, whether purchased at the store or prepared at home, contain detectable amounts of toxic heavy metals that can impair brain development, according to new research published Thursday, which led to renewed demands for improved regulation. So, in other words, the previous study said, look, all of the pre-made baby food
was bad.
Has 95%.
So to be clear, what he's saying is the baby food that you buy in a store has toxic metals in it, too high, that it's a problem. Now, by the way, the most important pieces here is this study's from 2019 originally. So 2019, this came out. What did the FDA do in 2019? Nothing. Not a thing. Study came out 2019. Nothing. They do another study saying, well, okay, maybe it's not the baby food formula only, but it's a baby food, but it's also maybe if you just buy the stuff on your own and make it, you'll be fine. Nope. That too. So whether you buy it made or buy the ingredients and make it, same problem in 95% of all the food that you're going to buy. Again, the FDA did, nothing. You might say, wait a minute. So, well, the FDA found this, so I'm very glad that the FDA found this out. They didn't. That's not who found this out. Who found this out is this Healthy Babies, Bright Futures Group. Well, that's obviously a government organization, right? No, it is a private charity. Of course it is. It's a nonprofit that raises money on its own without government help. In fact, that nonprofit often gives money to local governments who are screwing things up. I'm not joking. That's what they do. So, to be clear, the government did not find out about this on its own. When the private sector told the government about this 3 years ago, the government did nothing. Yes, nothing. And the people who told the government were a private charity. So, of course, when all this happening, who's the bad guy? Well, let's see what Kyle and his friends say. Well, the first guy, of course, you heard already. The biggest issue was, of course, well, we need more regulation. What's Kyle going to say?
Or, excuse me, 95% of the pre-made baby foods have toxic metals in them. And people
95%.
said, it's okay. What if it's like the ones that I make? Well, those ones also have 95%. So in other words, even the raw, like the ingredients, when you then put them together to make your own,
whatever you do,
you still run into the same problem. It's like, Jesus
100%.
Christ, what are we doing here?
Yep. So no matter what,
a previous study by Health Babies Bright Futures found that, I think I'm supposed to say Healthy Babies Bright Futures, found that 95% of prepackaged baby foods, is what we just discussed, tested were contaminated with toxic heavy metals, including lead, arsenic, cadmium, and mercury, sparking a congressional investigation and conversations about whether homemade baby foods are a safer.
So they had a congressional investigation, and that ended up with nothing, still poison. The government's still poisoning us.
Alternative.
Nothing.
In an effort to determine if homemade purees and foods purchased outside the baby food aisle have lower heavy metal levels than pre-made, store-bought baby food, the donor-funded Alliance of Scientists and Nonprofits recently...
The donor-funded. How many thousands of times do you hear me say, if you want good nonprofits, they must have a donor base. They must be donor-funded. They must be community-funded. But what if they're funded by rich people? So what? I don't care if they're rich or poor or local, whatever, just donors. If you are a donor, if you, think about this, if you, Joel, you, Pete, Shelley, if you're going to give money to a charity, it's got to do something. It's got to show you something. You got to believe it, or you're not going to give them any money. You got to see them act or work or fight or create something, or you're going to say, why am I giving you money? I don't get it. And this alliance is doing stuff. They're finding out that there's poison in the baby food. While the FDA is not donor-based. The FDA gets money from the government no matter what. And what does it do? Allow poisons to be in our food.
Only tested 288 foods and examined more than 7,000 additional food tests from published studies. HBBF, quote, found no evidence to suggest that homemade baby food has lower heavy metal levels than store-bought brands.
Doesn't even matter.
Lead author Jane Houlihan, the Alliance's research.
Now, I want to move a little bit forward if I could, because he actually talks about, the different brands. But the brands he brings up are 3 brands, if I remember it correctly. They are Gerber, is it Beech Nut, which is owned by Hero Foods, and then one more. I forgot the other one he brings up. There's 3 big brands that he brings up. All of these brands are billion-dollar companies. Billion-dollar companies. Now, I'm the one constantly saying, I don't want government in bed with big business. And people constantly tell me, oh, you libertarians, all you care about is big business. No, government loves big business. That's the reality. Government loves big business, not me. Government loves that stuff. So government's running around getting big business, and big business is in a pocket of government. And those are the most dangerous people what we have. Those people are the most dangerous. The big business and government connection, the monopoly. So let's see if I can grab a bit more. Grab a little bit more here to explain this. Here we go. Hold on, let me see if I can grab some of these.
It's
here we
so
go.
Obvious.
Hold on.
Contaminated foods consumed by babies
right here.
And rusks, white rice,
I'm gonna pop
pork,
this.
eggs, oranges, and watermelon.
Listen to what he says. Watch what he says.
I mean, the takeaway from this is so obvious.
So obvious.
It's so obvious.
What is it?
You need better regulation. They go on in this article to give some details about the way the regulation works, but
so you need more regulation. That's his answer. Kyle, you are absolutely wrong. Regulation is why we have it. That's why it's working this way, is the regulation. He goes, they go on to talk about it, but they, no, that is actually the problem. I don't want you to do that, right? I don't want you to eat the food that the FDA is telling you to eat and have no other option. I want more options. I want more choices. That's what I want. Now you say, well, Larry, that just seems, no, I'm going to show you something else that you might care about. Maybe you don't. This is a list of the safest foods, right? Who makes the safest foods? Well, this is according to a private private law firm that sues the companies and such. The private law firm, they have a list. They're suing people, right? And the list of the safest ones are a company called Yumi, Once Upon a Farm, Square Baby, Little Spoon. These are companies that have the safest foods. And who do they use to check out, all their food? Private companies, not the FDA. I'm not making this up. The safest are the people who don't use the government, who use private companies. These are often foods that are sold in health food stores and not the big stores. Do you know companies like Gerber, the huge food, they have specialized agreements with places like Walmart and stuff like that. They're all big business. Big business aligned with big government is literally poisoning our babies. And his answer is, you know what we need? More of that. My answer is less of that. Break them all up. Have smaller companies. Every single one of those big companies that have a problem, they're all billion-dollar companies. All of these are all under $100 million. All of them, some far under. But all these companies, they're less than $100 million companies. Every one of them. Lower. Some are like 50, some are less than that. They're smaller companies, middle-sized companies, companies that are local. Look, the Square Baby only sells in these states: Arizona, California, Colorado, Idaho, Nevada, Oregon, Utah, and Washington. This is what we talk about when we talk about breaking up monopolies, allowing people to sell and do as they see fit, as long as they are transparent. These guys are transparent. How do we know? Because that law firm would be suing them, because that law firm, also a private company, is out to make money. And they are going to sue people if they're bad. They're the ones saying they're good. So this goes exactly against what most people should be thinking. I don't want people thinking the right answer is we just need more government, right? So Kyle goes on because he is, again, I want to give Kyle credit for diagnosing the problem effectively. That's true. But his answer is the same answer I hear all the time, and it's incorrect.
Like, what are we doing? Are we poisoning a whole generation because of our lax standards?
No.
Is that what we're doing?
No. We're poisoning a generation because of a monopoly of government, creating an oligarchy that has regulations and not standards. And this is exactly what I'm talking about when it comes to regulations and standards. Regulations change only one time. And some of you, it's a broken record. Regulations change when lobbyists change them. That's when regulations change. But standards change as the industry changes. What's the difference? Regulations mean you may not act, you will be punished. Standards change as the market sees people walking away, people not doing it, people being sued. They change. That's why the smaller companies not following regulations, but following standards are safer. And my overall example, which I bring up all the time, is health food stores versus Walmarts or CVS or whatever, wherever you want to shop for those types of foods. A health food store, not regulated anywhere near, because most of their products are not FDA approved. Most are not in the store. Sometimes none of them are, but most of them aren't. Many of them are organic, or even not even or farm to table, that kind of thing. Many of them are that way. Where are all the deaths from these health food stores? They don't exist. In fact, the healthiest people shop in those stores. The healthiest people that shop and purchase non-FDA approved products every week. That's a fact, and you know it. I know it too. But this guy will still say, if we only had more of the government that is creating monopolies, and ensuring that our kids are being poisoned. That's what we want.
So look, they absolutely need to change this, because
he has no answer except that he can't imagine an answer that would say, break these guys up, allow them to do as they see fit with other ways, right? Not just one monopoly, other ways of making it work. An example that exists right now is health food stores right now. Follow that example and see how that works. Nope. Hit it harder.
This is unconscionable, but it also makes you think, well, what the fuck? How poisoned is everything else that we're talking about, you know?
Yes! How poisoned is everything else that the FDA controls? Yes, Kyle, that's correct. How poisoned is food? How bad are the drugs they give us? How bad are all the other things they give us? Yes, Kyle, that's a great question. And you don't know the answer, but you're still like, you know what? More of that. Let's do more of this.
How poisoned is every aisle in the grocery store? Let's wrap this article up here. They say Mark Corkins, chair of the Committee on Nutrition for the American Academy of Pediatrics, considers Thursday's study to be a logical follow-up to the one that the HBBF conducted in 2019.
Yep, 2019.
After which many experts encourage parents to switch to homemade options. So they said, hey.
So again, here we go. So the FDA approves these foods. They're poison. So this other thing says, well, you know what? Don't buy those. Instead, make homemade foods instead. That's a better way of doing it. Okay, makes logical sense. But where was their attempt to change the FDA? They couldn't, because those three big companies dominate and control the FDA. Something to remember, when there is an environment like the FDA, the customer is not you or me. We are in the way. The customer are those big billion-dollar businesses. That's their actual customer. They have to make them happy, not us. But the health food store, their customer is us. They have to make us happy. So going to the FDA to say, hey, change regulations is useless. Lobbyists do that. We don't do that. We have no power at all. And he's like, let's do more of that.
Baby food's bad. Do homemade options instead. Now we're learning, well, the homemade options are just as bad. Great.
Not great.
With the publication of its new report, HBBF has come back and said, we sent shoppers into all sorts of stores, and guess what? The food you're making it from is high in heavy metals as well.
Just as bad.
The source is going to be the same no matter what, he continued. It's going to be farms and produce grown in dirt and water. That's the same dirt and water that the other produce is grown in. In a statement released in response to the report, the AAP reiterated its call for swift, comprehensive federal regulation of heavy metals in foods that...
So again, the answer is swift federal regulation. Because you know what always works? Central planning. Well, I'm sorry, with one minor exception. Central planning always works with one minor exception, and that is every single time. With the exception of every single time, centralized planning works always. That's all. So it's one minor exception is every single time. Otherwise, it works. And so he wants more of that.
Babies eat. In the meantime, the group added, families can reduce exposure by feeding babies a variety of foods.
So walk away.
So that's all they say is like, hey, we need more regulation.
Yep.
And also,
that's all you say.
The more variety you have in the diet of your baby.
Yes. So to be clear, the more variety you have, the more options, the more choices, the bigger the market. Yes, because then people will pick the safer foods, and then people will only sell the safer foods.
The better off your baby's going to be. Because if they keep having one product that's perpetually contaminated with way too high levels of heavy metals, that's a problem. The House Subcommittee on Economic and Consumer Policy revealed last February.
Well, that's going to work. I mean, a House policy. I mean, come on, you know that's going to work. If there's a House Subcommittee, well, now we're saved.
That leading baby food manufacturers are knowingly selling products tainted with dangerous levels of arsenic, lead, cadmium, and mercury.
So they're saying that leading baby food manufacturers are knowingly selling. What? How could that be true if we already have FDA regulation, Kyle? How can that be true, subcommittee, if we have the FDA? That's impossible. Oh, wait. The FDA doesn't care because the FDA's customer is those three companies, Gerber and Happy Baby, and I think it's Hero Foods, which actually is a foreign company. I think they're Dutch or Swiss, one of the two. But anyway, that's that. And they're doing this. But you know who's not doing it? The smaller companies I mentioned. They're not doing it. Yummy's not doing it. Happy Farm's not doing it. Huh. Weird how that works.
Knowingly.
Yes.
Heavy metals that the U.S. Food and Drug Administration and the World Health Organization have declared a human health hazard, particularly for infants and toddlers who are most vulnerable to their serious, often irreversible, and sometimes deadly effects.
So deadly effects, serious. I'm trying to wait. I'm trying to remember that court case that was putting all those baby formula executives in jail for this. Right, there is none. Right, that's a fantasy. That's not happening at all. No, not happening at all. Nope. No one going to jail. Oh, that lawsuit where they were paying millions of dollars. Right. Also, not happening at all. FDA killing it. Oh, literally. Yes. That I made a pun.
To date, however, the FDA has set limits for heavy metals in just 2 types of baby food: infant rice, cereal, and juice. The agency's Closer to Zero plan identifies steps the agency will take to reduce.
It has a Closer to Zero plan. You and I paid a lot of money to consultants to come up with that plan. And there's even a link. You can go to that plan, the Closer to Zero plan, that they identified steps that they could possibly take. Boy, how many millions of dollars did it cost us for that? Or you could just let the smaller companies do their job.
Exposure to arsenic, lead, cadmium, and mercury from foods eaten by babies and young children to as low as possible. Okay. But they go on to say the FDA is moving at a snail's pace to take meaningful action. And look, that's under a Democrat. The second a Republican gets in there, they'll be like, all that talk.
Yeah, because, Democrats love babies more than Republicans. Republicans hate babies. I mean, we all know this, right? They hate babies. Republicans will do anything to keep babies around. That's not a Republican thing, right? Stop. They're all elites, and they're all going to do exactly the same thing with the FDA. Nothing.
About the increased regulation, toxic metals, and the kids' food. Exit. Done. Because they'll cut the budget.
Because they'll cut because you know what it is, guys? If you've noticed, if you lean left so many times, there's a problem. It's underfunded. That's the issue. If they would just give the FDA more money, then they would magically fix all of these things. And maybe that subcommittee, House subcommittee, well, if you just give them raises, done and done, right? Because what could go wrong? And the funny thing is, he says it believing it. I don't think Kyle's lying at all. I don't know Kyle. I have no idea. I've never met him. Don't know him. I don't think he's lying. I think he honestly believes that. If we just throw more money at it, then it'll get saved. He can't imagine that the opposite is true. That if he were to instead encourage more organization like this Healthy Baby group, which is clearly doing its job, a donor-based, organization, get them to be more forward, get them to have more credentials, get them to do that. Well, you compete with the FDA instead. Make the FDA have to work. Make us the customer of the FDA. Then it would either be better or go away. Either's fine, because the communities would step up, but the HBBF and others like that would step up, encourage that environment, and we have better results. How do I know? It's actually happening now with those other companies in health food stores. But in mainstream, with the FDA and the 3 big billionaire companies, it's not.
They'll cut the budget for the FDA.
That's what that matters.
They have, political axe to grind with the FDA. It's an ideological disagreement, and they'll say, we don't really believe in what you're doing. Somebody like Ron Paul wants to abolish the FDA, right?
I know. Why would you want to abolish an organization that's supporting a monopoly killing our babies? Why would you want to do that? Crazy. Literally, this entire rant you're on is supporting a government monopoly that is supporting and helping knowingly 3 large organizations, knowingly, again, his words, knowingly, in quotes, selling products that are poisoning babies. And you're like, we want to get rid of that? Why? You want to give that organization more money. But Ron Paul's crazy. And you're sane.
We'll go back and forth on that.
We don't have to.
Knowingly selling products tainted with dangerous levels of arsenic, lead, cadmium, and mercury, because to make an extra buck, the companies will keep selling it. So there it is.
So it's capitalism's fault. Literally, this is a socialistic oligarchy. That's what it actually is. It's corporatism. He's like, you know what this is? Capitalist fault. Those other companies that are only $100 million companies, they're not trying to make money. Yet somehow they're not selling poison. I just listened to you 6 other companies, all making money, many of them startups. So they're all getting banker money, evil capitalism. They're getting banker money to start. You just got, I think, $40 million or so. One of those companies got a big chunk of cash to keep making product. Why? Because their product's safe.
No matter how careful you are.
Tell me.
Looks like capitalism catches up with you, doesn't it?
No. Government catches up with you because the people who aren't being protected by the FDA are doing the right thing. The people being protected by the FDA are literally poisoning babies. Let me say it again. The people who are not being protected by the FDA, the people who are getting money directly from capitalist investment bankers, those people are not poisoning babies. And the people who are supported by the government, defended by the FDA, supported and defended by the FDA, the big government monopoly, they are literally encouraging and literally poisoning babies. I don't think it's capitalism that comes to get you. I think it's big government. Sounds that way to me.
Cable news is...
Yes. I just thought you guys might enjoy that one. I thought it just shows the exact idea of you caring about something like babies and realizing that it isn't the capitalist's fault. They're all capitalists. The question is government protecting you or not? And they want to, you got to break up monopolies. Government made the monopoly, made the oligarchy. That's what actually worked. If you like what I'm saying, you want to help me out, please. LarrySharpe.com/donate. I could use all the help I can get. Absolutely. And of course, LarrySharpe.com/shop. You want some cool merch and support my sponsors. World's Smallest Political Quiz. Click that specific link. Take that quiz and share it in other places so that people can start taking that quiz. And they'll think about whether they are more progressive, more conservative, they're more authoritarian, more libertarian. It allows people to see kind of where they are. And actually, more people are more moderate than you might think. Many of you are thinking that if you go to that World's Smallest Political Quiz, it makes you lean libertarian. It doesn't. It just shows you where you are. And actually, most people who take that test, it's true, a plurality of people, the biggest chunk, are actually moderates. That's true. Even people come from my page, libertarians, whatever. Most people who take that test, not most, the plurality of people, I think it's 40%, are actually moderates. Yes. So you might find that interesting. So please do that if you can. I would appreciate it. Let me grab some comments if I could. I'm glad you guys are here and the chat is exploding. Thank you guys for everything. I hope that was interesting for you at least. So yes, Logic Rex, thank you, my friend. Right in Larry Sharpe. You should if you're a New Yorker. 100%. Yes, absolutely. Pete says, I'm sorry, national debt, 30 trillion, 731 billion, 391 million, $952,366.35 our national debt. So you know what? The one thing that we can't say that anything in our government is underfunded. That's not true. It's not underfunded. We are somehow, in some way, throwing that money around. That's for sure. But it's not underfunded. That is too much of a national debt. Thank you, Pete, as always. Yes. All right. Let me grab a couple more of these if I can. All right. Let's see here. Shelly says, everyone called the New York Board of Elections. Oh, thank you. And ask why people are allowed to silence a popular candidate. I named Larry, and she pretended that she had never heard of his name before. Thank you, Shelly. They know who I am. Yeah, it's nice for her to say that, but they know who I am. I do appreciate that. Yes, absolutely. Be Vegan Now says, let everyone use an acre of free tax-free land to grow their own food and live on. Ban farm subsidies. You know, the issue we have, I'll call you B, is you don't just want to ban farm subsidies because we have so many subsidies. It's actually unfair to farmers if you only ban them. Don't get me wrong. I want to ban the subsidies. I do. But it's unfair to just ban those subsidies. If we're going to do that, let's do an entire revamp of all the subsidies. Then that becomes fair, if that makes any sense, right? I don't just want to, if I only ban farm, then I'm giving everyone else an advantage. I want to ban them all. However, I also, for some people, and I know a lot of libertarians get very angry when I talk about this idea or tactic, and that is, if I just cut everybody off immediately, it actually winds up being unfair because the government has spent so much time propping these people up. I think you have to give them some time. That depends upon, the specifics of it. Do you want to give them 6 months, a year, whatever is the case? and you may even want to wean them off. You want to give businesses and people a realistic time frame to begin to retool, train, adjust, and shift their business model because they've been in the dole for so long. They don't know how to function without it. And it's unfair because we've put them in this position, right? We have propped them up for decades. So it's our fault, meaning as a society, as a government, it's the government's fault for doing this, propping them up. So to just take it away feels unfair to me. So I would like to do it to where, okay, you can lose your subsidies in X amount of time, and we're cutting them by 50% by this date, and then the rest by this date, giving them a time to go, okay, how do I respond? How do I fix this? That's my view. I know some people disagree with me. I feel like it's the best bet. So yes. Joel says, I caught Larry Sharpe on Allison Moreau. Oh, yes. I hope you guys saw that one. Absolutely. Yes. And of course, yes, also on Kim Iverson and Sam Cedar. You can watch some of those on this channel right here. I appreciate that. Yes. Joel says that Kim Iverson was the best. I appreciate that completely. Thank you so much. Yes. Pete says, AMA, please help me understand, how does the Inflation Reduction Act reduce inflation? Well, I will tell you what the people who support it say. It doesn't, but what they say. What they're saying is, if the actual money they give allows people to produce more, then it will begin to reduce inflation over time. I don't think that's true. I'm telling you what they say, right? The idea is, well, if we put this money into this thing where now you'll grow a certain way or grow a certain way here, then over time, it'll bring the cost down and inflation will go down. That's the logic behind it. Again, I don't agree, but that's what they say. I would like us to get people work more. I have a very simple way of dealing with inflation at a local level in New York State. It doesn't fix it, but it makes it better. Inflation is basically too much money, right, for not enough goods and services. So make a whole lot more goods and services. You can buffer yourself against inflation. How do you do that? By turning licensing into credentialing, by being better with small businesses, by supporting the gig economy so that people can work more, get out there and hustle more, doing all those things. We're doing the reverse. We are punishing businesses and throwing them out of our state so that they're not working harder. So New York State is actually, the reverse is happening when it comes to inflation. We're not buffering against, we're encouraging it. That's what I would do. So yes. Avi says, the fact that the yokel is leading the race for governor in New York State is absolutely embarrassing. We have a deficit, debt we can't pay off, highest tax rates in the nation, dwindling population, biggest disparities between rich and poor, crumbling infrastructure, failing schools. Yes, yes, and yes. Yes, Avi, everything, yes. The list is endless. Yep. She enabled euthanizer Cuomo, or at least ignore the abuse of power. Yes. And she'll most likely win the governorship. Yes. New York State is a black hole of stupidity, pathetic. I'm going to stop with you on the stupidity part. That's not the issue. Not stupidity. The issue is, in this state, and I can't speak for the Republican Party outside the state. I can speak for it in the state. The Republican Party and the Conservative Party doesn't think they can win, and they aren't even trying. They will lie to you and tell you they're trying. How do I know that? Because I offered to work with them. I offered to do this. I said, look, this is, and so for those who don't know this is like 2 years ago. I brought up to many people on the inside, Conservative Party, Republican Party, look, let me run as a libertarian in the Republican primary. Let me do that. If I lose Republican primary, then I lost. I'm done. I'm some libertarian guy, maybe making about, maybe I won't, whatever. But if I win the Republican primary as a libertarian, then the Libertarian Party, Conservative Party, and the Republican Party could all get behind me. I'd be on all their lines. We have fusion voting in New York State. I could be on all three lines. As a libertarian, as someone who can cross over and get Democrats, I'll do it. And the money they put into the current sacrificial lamb is more than they've ever put in. Last time they put like $4 million. So they put like $3 or $4 million into him. Then they saw how hard I was working. They put an extra $1 million into him last time. And because that happened, that made all the conservatives and Republicans so upset that their leadership fell. They changed over leadership in New York State, conservatives and Republicans. Both of them changed over. Nick Langworthy took over the Republicans, and Jerry Kassar took over the conservatives in New York State in 2019. They took over in 2019. They took over because of the horrible showing they did last time. Now, both of them are just grifters, and I don't care if they think so. It's clearly true. Neither one of them wanted to talk to me. Neither one of them wanted to work on things. They didn't want to make it work with me, so they didn't. They instead said, how do we make as much money and grift as much as we can while the grifter is good? And you might say, Larry, how can you say that? I'll tell you how I can say that. There were 4 people running for the Republican nomination. If you are a Republican in New York State and you are someone who says, you know what I care about? I care about conservatism. Okay. Astorino was your guy. He's a conservative. No question. That's the guy you go with if you're a conservative and that's what you care about in New York State. That's your guy to the fore. No question. Well, okay, you don't care about that. What you care about is who's got a cool personality to get people excited to get out and vote. That was Giuliani. Giuliani had the personality. People love him, riles the crowd up, got a good name for the people across the state. City people love him. That's the guy to get. Okay. You said, no, I don't care about that stuff, Larry. As a Republican, what I care about is crossover. I want to get Democrats to vote for Republicans so that we can win this election. Great. Harry Wilson was your guy. No question. That guy was crossover. He was kind of Republican light. He was. There's no doubt. He still is. He would probably tell you that if you talk to him. So that will work. Right there. Done. Those are your 3 options. Who'd they pick? They picked Zeldin. What did he have? The most money. I'm not joking. He just had the most money. He had raised like $10 or $11 million. And they all knew that all that money would go to their consultants, to their people, and they would all be able to grift to the best of their ability, hand out jobs left and right. This is always about handing out jobs. I always say that because that's what it's about. That's what they did. And the Conservative Party decided, well, I'd like some of that money too. Wow, I'll do that too. So Kassar said the same thing. I don't care about Larry Sharpe, someone who respects conservatives. That's dumb. I would rather get the Republicans to have Mike Pence show up at one of my events, and I'll make 6 figures and put it in my pocket. That's what he wanted to do. So they were all just grifting, Avi. So I wish they had thought about it. They didn't. I want you to think about this. They put about $11 million already, maybe more, maybe 12, into the Republican campaign in New York State this year. 12 or $11 million thrown in the garbage. Literally in the garbage if you're a donor. They took your money, threw in the garbage. You know he's not going to win. He can't win. He's already 15 points behind. There's no chance of victory whatsoever. And worse, there'll be no change. Like no one will care. They'll forget his name. He'll go away and, I don't know, go into a law firm and make a bunch of money or something, or be a lobbyist or something. You'll never see him again. He'll walk like they always do. He'll walk away, whatever. That's what will happen. And New York won't change at all. That's what will happen. Imagine if they had put $11 million into my campaign. I would be the next governor. And I'll bet anyone $11 million. You put $11 million into my campaign, I'm the next governor. Guaranteed. No doubt. No one's going to work it the way I do. No one can cross over the way I can do. None of them can do that. You're telling me the guy who's running as the Republican now, with the January 6th stuff that's going on, with all this stuff is going on, the guy who literally didn't show up to any of the gun votes, whether they were locally or nationally, didn't show up to any of them, too busy to do that. So if your Second Amendment doesn't care about that, but not just that, against Democrats, voted against certifying the election. This is New York State. This isn't South Carolina, Oklahoma. New York State, you vote that way, you're done. No Democrat's going to vote for you. No Democrats in this state going to vote for you. They don't care. And you see it in the polls now. Everyone thought, it's going to be a massive red wave. It's not going to be a massive red wave. Not in New York State, it's not. That's not how that works in this state. Not going to happen. So I'm with you, Avi, but it isn't stupidity. It's Democrats hate Republicans, Republicans hate Democrats, and they're not going to put enough money into a guy like me that both can talk to. Don't get me wrong. For some of you who are watching, if you're listening or watching, you might go, Larry, you're not liberal enough for me. Yeah, but I still respect you. Or you might go, Larry, you're not conservative enough for me. That's also true. But I still respect you. I respect you being liberal or conservative, even if you are more liberal or more conservative than I am. That's okay. I can still respect you. I will let you do you. You let me do me. You let Avi do Avi. And you stop forcing your views on everybody, and we'll be okay. But if you look at what the Democrat's doing, she's just yelling, you'll do what I say. Republicans are evil. What's the Republican doing? When I get in, I'm going to do all this. I'm going to enforce my will. Stop. No, you're not. You're talking trash, trying to raise money for whatever's after November. And we won't see you again. Whatever you want to say about me, be mad at me or whatever, say I screwed up or I'm wrong or I'm bad. Yeah, I roll the dice a lot. I'm losing. I have to roll the dice. It's how it works. That's what I do. I want to make impact. I want people to notice me. I want people to hear what I have to say. I want to change minds. I want to change hearts. I want to change this state. That's what I want to do. That's why I'm doing this. So yeah, the one difference is I'm still here. And if you know me, if you've met me, if you've seen me, you know one important thing. I actually care. I actually do. They don't. And in your heart, you know they don't. So anyway, I hope that I went a little bit long, Avi. I'm sorry. I hope at least I answered your question. So yes. All right, let's see if I can do this here. Let's see. Dave says the Libertarian Party of Iowa, for the first time, had a booth at the best state fair in the country, the Iowa State Fair. Dave, you might not know this, but I am an honorary lifetime member of the Libertarian Party of Iowa. This is true. I have my pin and everything. I've been to Iowa a couple times, and I raised money for them. And when I was raising money for the party, which I do often as I cross the country, I'll raise money for local parties, and I raised money for Iowa. And when I did, they were going to pay me $500 I raised several $1,000s. I raised 10 grand for them, something like that. Whatever I raised for them, they were going to be $500. And I said, don't give me the money. Instead, can I take that as an honorary membership? Because at the time, I don't know if it's still true, it cost $500 to be a lifetime member of the Iowa Libertarian Party. And I said, can you just make me that? And they went, yes. So I am now an honorary member, lifetime member of Libertarian Party of Iowa. Only honorary because I don't live there. But anyway. So yes, I happen to like Iowa LP. I do very much so. I'm glad you said that. Thank you. That's good. Rockaman says, write in Larry Sharpe. 100% yes. Please keep doing that. Yes, absolutely. So Adam says, I hate to be a conspiracy theorist, but do you think this is by design, getting more kids on Ritalin? There's an old saying. Is it Hanlon's law? I may get that. I think it's Hanlon's law that says, I'm going to get it wrong, but you'll remember it as I say it. Never assume. I'm going to paraphrase it because I'm going to get it wrong. Never assume malice when it could be explained by stupidity. What I'm going to say is never assume malice when it could just be cheap, right? I'm going to go Occam's razor, the simplest answer. So is it possible? Yeah, but that would mean that the people who make the food also make the drugs. And I think in this case, they don't. I think that's, I mean, there may be some overlap with some holding companies, but my thought process, Adam, is they probably don't. That's what I think. So my guess would be no. But if you showed me some evidence, it's not like I'd be surprised. But my guess would be no. So yeah. All righty. All right. Let's see here. AKA billionaires. I'm not sure that's for Jeff, but yes, they are billionaires. Correct. Patty says, what I hear him saying is all food is poison and no one cares. Thank you, Patty. But I would shift it if I could. All food is poisoned and the government doesn't care. But I would bet your local food pantry cares. I would bet your local health food store cares. I would bet local moms and families, I would bet they care. Right? And if they were allowed to have more choice, they would stop buying the 3 big, massive company food. They would stop doing that. And they would stop doing that. They'd stop making the poison food. Because here's the thing. People often think that large organizations are evil. They're not. They're apathetic. There's a difference. Evil means they want to hurt. They want to kill. They don't. They just don't care. They want to make money. They don't care how. Then they might go, well, what's the difference? Because if the entity is actually evil, Patty, and they actually want to hurt the kids, there's nothing we can do except destroy them. They're evil. Just destroy them. No other option. Kill them all. They're all evil. What else can you do? But if they're apathetic, you can change the system. So where they can still make money, but by doing the right thing. If they do the right thing, it isn't because they care about the right thing. They just want to make money. So change the system to where they make the most money by doing the right thing. And that's what we have to work on. And the example of it working is 2 things. The non-essential healthcare system that we have, which lowers prices constantly and makes and is more available to more and increases access constantly to people who are middle class and working poor. And believe it or not, the health food stores who are constantly moving into more neighborhoods, selling more products and keeping people healthier. We are seeing it. So yes. So Jeff says, FDA caught the bad food? No. HBBF the private donor-funded charity they found caught the bad food. FDA saw it and went, yeah, what are you going to do? That's what FDA did. I'm sorry. And then the Congress had a subcommittee, which solved everything. No, not at all. Logic Rex. So we need more regulation because regulation didn't work. So let's further regulate the regulation. That's pretty much accurate. Yes. Awesome. That's pretty accurate. Jeff says, break them up. Break them all up, Larry. Yes. The idea that someone would think that libertarians are for monopoly. No, we're not. Literally, we're not. Libertarians are not about monopoly at all, right? We are not about that. You know who's about monopoly? Democrats and Republicans. They're all about monopoly. Democrats actually more than Republicans as a general rule. They're actually more for monopoly. They're both for monopoly. Republicans also like oligarchy a lot. I think Republicans probably lean more oligarchy. Democrats lean more, more monopoly. But yes, they like that. Absolutely. So yes. So you can quote me. Yes, break them up. 100%. Jack says, cannot wait to write you in. Thank you, my friend. Write in Larry Sharpe. Thank you. Absolutely. 100%. So, all righty. B Vegan Now says, if mothers became wet nurses instead of purposely stop pumping nursing and choosing to dry themselves out, what would probably be better for them to become wet nurses, better for babies? I think that's true, but I don't want to. I hope you're not trying to say that women shouldn't work. I hope you're not going there. I guess I think what we should be talking about is how can we allow women to do what they feel is appropriate, right? How can we make the lives of mothers easier so that those who want to do that can do that, right? That's what I want. Look, if you don't want to pump, if you don't want to breastfeed, I don't want to force you to do that. I mean, right? Your body, your choice, right? I wouldn't want to. Could I make an environment to where more women could choose that easier? Yes, of course. And as a governor, if I could do that, I of course would. I'd want you to have as many options and choices as you like, so that I hope more women would make that choice because their life would be easier. They'd have more options and choices. That would be amazing. So yes, absolutely. Joel goes on to say, same arguments for the high cost of childcare, too many regulations that add cost and no benefit. Yes, yes, and yes. John says, not much difference in Kyle's thought process than Sam Cedar or Vosh. Well, I'll give Vosh a little bit of a difference. A little bit. Right? Kyle and Sam are exactly the same. You're correct. They are. They think they're not, but they are. They both love government monopoly. They both think that's the only way of fixing it. And I also don't think either of them is necessarily trying to lie or be in bad faith. I think they honestly can't imagine. I think they don't trust people. Right? Sam Cedar, I believe, does not trust the people. He thinks you are too evil or wrong or bad or stupid or whatever is the word he's using to do it on your own. So he's got to provide the government to do it for you because he cares. And I'm not being sarcastic. I think Sam actually does care. I think he believes this is the right way because, he's smarter than you, John, smarter than me. So he's gonna save us. Thank you, Sam. I think Kyle believes monopoly is good too. He believes that capitalism is bad. And he says these Republicans or whatever he says, are bad for their ideology. He has an ideology too. And by default, capitalism is bad in his eyes. So why would he think that? I get that completely. Vosh is a little bit different. Vosh is not a fan of capitalism, obviously. But Vosh is a fan of direct democracy. And he also is a fan of localism. So I think Vosh would be a little bit different in that he wouldn't necessarily want federal government oversight. He might want much more democracy locally, meaning much more socialism locally. So there's a little bit of a difference in those two. So I hope that was clear. If Vosh happens to be listening, you can correct me if you happen to listen to this. So if I'm wrong, happy to. So yes. Tim says, problem. Government allows big business to poison us. Solution, more government. Seems weird to me. Yes. That's pretty accurate, Tim. I think you got that perfectly. Yes. John goes on to say, unpasteurized milk. Oh no, people are all of a sudden they'll die. The issue with this is, as I say all the time, I was just sitting out. I was at a farm just this weekend. I did a couple of pictures. If any of you happen to be online and see the pictures that I talked about, that I did, I talked about the idea of things like unpasteurized milk, and people will say all the time, it's bad or it's evil or it's wrong or you'll get sick or whatever. Maybe. To be forward, I don't know. I don't drink milk. I don't actually know if that's true or not. My point is, so what? I'm serious. If you think unpasteurized milk is good for you, raw milk, enjoy raw milk. I know people drink it and don't die, so I'm sure it's not poison. Well, not directly poison, but maybe it hurts you. Maybe it's not as good. Maybe pasteurized is better. I don't know, but my point is, who am I to tell you what you can drink and not drink? Now, to be forward, as I always say, if you're not going to follow FDA or USDA, you must post it openly. The public, your customers must know. If they're okay with it, I hope it's great for you. People tell me, I have no idea how true it is, but when I'm out in Western New York, a lot of people will tell me that raw milk is amazing for you. It's great. Okay, maybe it is. Again, I don't drink milk, but enjoy. I hope it's healthy for you. That's good. But again, to your point, John, why would it matter? And other point is, let's say that someone does die from drinking raw milk. Let's say it happens, right? Then everyone around will know, oh my God, this person died of raw milk. What farm did it come from? That'll happen, right? We know it. If someone does die of raw milk, what happened on that farm? Was it the farm? Was it the farmer? Is the milk bad? Whatever. We'll find out. And law firms like that will take charge. And it will then begin to sort itself out at least. Now, if the FDA literally kills and maims millions of babies, there will be no repercussions whatsoever. None. Literally, again, we saw 3 years knowing you're poisoning babies, no repercussions. None. Not for the companies doing it. Not for the subcommittee, oh, that's going to save us. And not for the FDA. None. But if someone actually died of raw milk, there'd be repercussions. People go, oh my God, I can't do that, because there'll be repercussions. But be a big business, poison babies for years, and still doing it today, I'm still waiting on that trial. Guess you and I'd be waiting for a while. Yes. Tyler says, homemade is always better, Larry. You're probably right. Probably right. Pete says, end all alphabet agencies. I'm not going to fight you, Pete. I'm not going to fight you. There we go. I'm definitely not. Yes, absolutely. Logic says, like how the government killed the vape industry for big tobacco. Oh my God. Logic Rex right here. Totally. Yes. Perfect example. So the government, because they care about us, decided to destroy the vaping industry. Did they destroy the tobacco industry? No. Which one do we know 100% everyone on the planet knows kills? Tobacco. Some people think the vape industry is bad. Some people don't. I happen to not believe that. Some people do. Okay. Everybody knows tobacco's bad. No one's thinking cigarettes are good. There's not a person on the planet going, oh, cigarettes, good idea. No one's thinking that. People who are smoking are choosing to smoke, and they know it's not good for their health. And you should be able to do so. I'm not saying stop smoking. I'm sorry. I'm not saying stop making cigarettes. If you smoke, you should stop smoking. It's better for you. However, you do you. If you want to smoke, I get it. I'm not mad at you for it, but we all know it's not a healthy habit, right? If you eat too much sugar, if you drink too many sweet drinks, you know it's not good for you, but you can, if you want to, enjoy. If you don't exercise enough or whatever is the thing that's important for your life, if you don't think enough, you don't use your brain enough, all those things, right? It's not good for you. You should do all the good things, but you'll do the ones that you want. So why would we stop the vape industry? If you are going to stop an industry because you care, you'd stop the tobacco industry. I mean, you can't, but in theory, at least, to your point, Logic, to your point, in theory, if you were going to stop it because you care, it will be tobacco, not vaping. Vaping is a maybe for most people. Everyone knows tobacco is bad. Again, I'm a fan of the vaping industry. I think it does harm reduction. I think we shouldn't touch it at all, but you do you. Again, if you don't want to vape, don't vape, but I'm not going to stop you. So, all right, let's see here. Logic goes on to say, wow, Kyle for the cognitive dissonance on display for all to see for the win. It's kind of true. Yes. Missy says, please like, comment, share, and subscribe. Thanks. Yes, if you were on YouTube and you haven't subscribed, why not? Click that bell. Once in a while, YouTube actually notifies you. I mean, not always, but sometimes if you click the bell, YouTube will notify you more than it if you didn't click the bell. So click the bell so you can get subscribed so that you'll know when I'm going live. You will see I'm doing more and more of that as this the last 2 to 3 months of this campaign. I'll be doing more of that as I possibly can. So please do if you're on YouTube. If you're on Facebook, please, of course, like the page. Twitter, please follow. It does matter. If you can comment, please do so. If you can share, it helps tremendously. But I'm going to go one step further. If you want to help out, there's something else you can do. You can volunteer. I could use volunteers for several things. I could use volunteers to help me set up events. I can use volunteers to help me write policy. But more importantly, I can use volunteers to jump on my social media team to help share and comment and move the stuff around as I post it to get out to more and more places. We are on Twitter, TikTok, YouTube, Facebook, all the things. And we need more people to assist in making that happen. LarrySharpe.com/volunteer. We had some problems, in the past, grabbing people because I lost so many people through a couple of issues we had during the campaign. I lost a bunch of people. So a lot of people who tried to volunteer got lost in the emails back and forth, and it kind of went away. The campaign has been very challenging, as you could imagine, over the last couple of months. So if you can try again, please. We also need something else. People who can edit videos. And here's the issue. Anything you edit, anything you use, anything you do, I'm happy for you to use it in your own portfolio to show others. Use it. It's yours. Enjoy. We're going to be using it. You can use it too. If you join a campaign, you need this as an example of your skill set for other things. Happy to give you a title so you can put that on your resume, all types of things. Volunteer, volunteer, volunteer. It will help tremendously if you can. We could use it. Please. That would be great. All righty. Let's see here. Sam says he doesn't understand how those heavy metals get into food. It isn't about greed. It's about how little good farmland and demand based on an ever large population. This is true also. If we look at it, great point, by the way, Sam, sorry. A great point. Many of the issues we have is through things like we're unable to turn the land enough times, as you mentioned, right? Because we have these synthetic pesticides? I think that is correct. I think it's synthetic pesticides. Those types of things, types of fertilizers we use. Yeah, it's a lot of things. Absolutely. And the smaller companies, they're finding new lands or new ways of doing things that tend to be a bit more expensive, which is why they tend to not be able to sell in the Walmarts of the world. Because Walmart will demand price. And if you don't do the things you're talking about, Sam, you can't get the price down low enough. So you can't get into the Walmarts of the world, which is why they're being sold in health food stores and such. Yes. Avi says, Ron Paul always ends up being right. Yeah. Even Dan Bongino, who isn't a libertarian, on his show said Ron Paul prophesies how the FBI will be weaponized to declare war on the citizenry. Yes. As much as everyone laughs at libertarians for having crazy worries, we always end up being vindicated by those that mock us. Avi on the money yet again. 100%. Yes. Absolutely. And how are you, Ann? It was good seeing you. Ann says, I had lunch with Larry, sat in Pyongyang. It was great meeting you, Larry. I have since handed out your flyers, and just one day at work, I got 4 people say they vote for you. Oh, thank you, guys. Yes, we are now bringing flyers to our events. So hopefully if you have a couple, you can grab them, hand them out, get people to write in. We are, for those who don't know, we're doing the writing campaign now. Hopefully we won't need it. Hopefully we will win our appeal and we'll be on the ballot. But we may not be on the ballot. And if we're not, you got to write me in. We got to push forward with this. We have to make a big enough. You might go, Larry. Some of you might say, Larry, why would I write you in? Right? If a write-in, what are the odds you winning a write-in? You're right. They're slim. That's true. They're slim. But if we get enough write-ins, 2 things will happen. We'll get ballot access and we'll become parties to that. There will be an independent party in New York State, number 1. That's number 1. But for many of you may not care about that. That's fine. I hope you care, but you may not. But we will have at least an independent party in the state. So we have a chance at making a coalition in the future. And locally, we can have independents win locally to begin to build up in the state, number 1. But if you don't care about that, something else happens. To get 130, 140,000, 150,000, 200,000 write-in votes would be such a massive undertaking that the press would see it. You will already seeing me get more and more people wanting to interview me based upon the terrible ballot access laws we have now. This happens, everyone will want to talk to me about it. What does that mean? All these ideas I talk about, all the stories you tell me, all the things that you care about, I will get to say to millions of people. So there is value in it, even if we can't win this thing. I hope we win this thing. We can, particularly if, in his next part, if I get in the debate stage, we got a shot. Let's hope that works. So, yes, I can hope that. All righty. BB now says ban farm subsidies by giving tax money. Oh, ban giving tax money to farms and baby formula companies. Again, all of it, I'm good. One of it, it seems unfair. So yes. So, Bill says, love the React videos. Have you reached out to Kyle for a live debate? My team reaches out to everybody, and Sam Cedar. I mean, many of you beat up on Sam Cedar, but I'm going to give Sam Cedar props. He actually reached out to me and had the sit down with me, and we had a sit down. Many people on the left don't respond to me at all. And I reach out to the left all the time. You guys see me. I reach out to the left more than any libertarian out there. Not even close. No one reaches out to the left more than I do. I try my best to reach out to them. I'm not always good at it. I don't always do it perfectly, but I try, and I want to have the conversations. I know that for us as a movement, as a liberty movement, we have to get the left to see us as viable. We have to get them to see us as human. We've got to see us as a way for them to vote when they don't want to vote for their establishment Democrat. And that is not easy. It's not going to be easy, but I'm trying because I know it matters. So I reach out a lot. We've reached out to Kyle, Breaking Points, Rising, all of them. Many of them don't talk to us in return. I hope they will eventually, and I'm open to it. If you happen to be watching, Kyle, I would love to have a sit down with you, either your show, my show, you pick. I want to have the call. I've talked. I'm the one to talk to Destiny. I'm going to talk to Vosh. I talk to Sam Cedar. That's me. I talk to the left. Whenever they say yes, I do it. Some of you wondered why I went to Debate Bros, right? Like Destiny and Vosh. They're debaters, right? They're young socialist debaters. Because those guys aren't afraid to talk to me. They're not bothered by talking to me. They actually will give me the respect to talk to me. So I talk to them. I take whoever I can get, even if you don't happen to like them. It does matter. So, yes, I reached out, not for a live debate, but just to have a conversation. But if he wants to debate, it's fine. I'm happy to do that. Or just talk, interview. I'll interview him. He interviews me. We'll go together on someone else's show. Yes, yes, and yes, Bill. If you happen to know him, reach out. In fact, you bring up a valid point. Guys, I'm going to ask one more thing of you. This is me asking you for stuff tonight. I shouldn't have said ask me anything. I should say I'm going to ask you anything. Bill, if you know anybody, scratch that. Any media that you consume, whether you do it via YouTube, radio, podcast, regular TV, newspaper, whatever you do, please, tonight or tomorrow, whenever you see this or hear this, please reach out to them. Send them an email, call them if it's a local station or whatever the case may be, and say, hey, did you hear about what happened with Larry Sharpe? Don't you want to have him on to talk about, party status and third parties? Yang's talking about third parties. It's all popular now. Why don't you have Larry Sharpe on talk about third parties? Please do that, Bill. Please. Reach out to Kyle if you watch him. I don't know if you happen to watch Kyle's show, but if you do, reach out to him. Reach out to them today. Some of you have done this already for me, and you know who you are who've done it. Thank you. The reason why I got some of those interviews recently wasn't because I'm so smart and savvy. It was because some of you reached out, bugged them, and they heard their audience and went, oh, their audience wants Larry Sharpe? Okay, with Larry Sharpe. They don't care about me. They don't. I'm being forward, right? This is, again, apathetic. They're evil capitalists who want to keep their audience happy, as we all should be, right? We all want to keep our audience happy. They want to keep their audience happy. You guys bugged them, and then they brought me on. So, Bill, please, if you would, that would be awesome. I would appreciate that. Yes. So, all right, let me keep going here. Jeff says, Larry Sharpe, in all seriousness, who or what breaks up these billion-dollar corporations? The only way you break them up in reality is by competition. So what you do is you either create a two-tiered system, that's option one, or you create a more equal playing field, one or the other, depending upon the industry. I'll give you an example of this, right? I talk about it in New York State. If you want to get rid of some of the large organizations in New York State, you create a rule in your state. Wyoming does this already to support farmers. In Wyoming, if you are a local farmer and you decide to sell only in Wyoming, you are immune from all federal regulatory bodies. You might go, Larry, that's dangerous. It isn't. What actually winds up happening is they only follow state laws, state rules, which are still valuable and important, but things like they can use localized slaughterhouses, localized selling, farm to table. That becomes more valuable. What happens is now the smaller farms get to build up before they have to compete outside their state against the big guys. So little guys get a heads up. If that makes any sense, right? And you might go, Larry, is that fair? It is, because the big guys have the corporate lawyers. The big guys have the corporate lobbyists. So they already have a leg up. So you give the little guy a leg up. That's how you break up in corporations. How do I know that? What happened to IBM? Right? Who's breathing out Walmart's net? Right? It's all the local guys who are allowed to grow. Sadly, what happens once they get big, they then get regulatory capture and they make sure no one else can grow. So that's option one, two-tiered system. The other way is you make it better for investment to go into smaller companies, right? The big companies, many of the largest companies across this nation, they make a lot of their money not selling their good or service. They make a lot of the money being finance companies. Many people don't know this. And I don't know, Jeff, your background, you may be well aware of this. I don't know your background, but some people don't. So I'm saying it for whoever doesn't know this. A lot of large companies, once they make so much money, they're not making a chunk of their profit isn't because they're selling a product or service. They're moving money around. They're investing in this, buying up this, investing in that, buying up stock price, selling stock, those types of things, buying up stocks, selling stocks, those types of things. They become finance companies. Well, that makes sense, right? They do mergers and acquisitions to raise money so they can get around going public, things like that, do all these types of things. Well, if you give that same opportunity to the little guys and make it nicer and easier for companies to invest in little guys, they begin to explode. And what happens is the billion-dollar corporation doesn't get broken up, if that makes any sense. It just has less power because other people are moving up. So I have 2 or 3 or 4 players, 5 players, and a world that shifts and moves as smaller guys keep popping up. Bigger guys fall back and forth. That's how it's supposed to happen. Right now, that is not what happens, except you do see that in certain areas. Most of the time you see that is in health food stores. Those types of stores pop up and go back down. That type, localized diners and restaurants, that happens sometimes. Big guys come in, little guys go away. You see it in those areas. But most big business, you don't see it. And we've got to change that. It does happen, it does happen. It does happen in new big industries. For example, things like you see it in the new tech industry, social media when it first came out. You know, remember Friendster was going to be big and MySpace, and the big ones come and fall, and there's multiple stuff. You're seeing it right now kind of in streaming. You're seeing it a bit. It's maybe that's a good example. I'm not sure. You find you're seeing it now in news where the little guys are popping up and going down and moving and shifting. But then what happens? Regulatory capture. YouTube decides who's good and who's bad. The monopolies come in and change it. So that's how you do it. That's how you do it. I hope that was clear. And I'm totally for it. 100% for it. Yes. All right. Grab this if I could. Avi says, Larry, did you see that they're talking about raising the toll into New York City to $23? It's not raising the toll. That's an additional price to go into Lower Manhattan. Yes. So you still pay the toll. Like you still pay the toll. Yes. The state is broke. We can't fix a pothole or a sewer line. And all we hear about is the war on the poor. Yep. And somehow they think raising the toll and making people who come into the city for work or visit family and friends pay more will somehow fix the problem. Utter idiocracy. New York State is a sucker's paradise of pay more and get less. Yet the morons who vote for Hoke will think they're going to get some woke virtual signaling. Well, they will get that. There's the part where you're actually wrong on this, Avi. They will get lots of signaling. That they get. Sadly, that's all they get. But that part they actually get. They do get a bunch of I care and look at my symbolic stuff. They do get a lot of that. But that's all they get. To be clear, New York State's budget is over $220 billion. With the exception of Alaska, who literally writes a check to their citizens every year. With the exception of Alaska, we spend the most on our citizens in the entire country. The most per citizen. We spend the most. And get the least. You're totally correct. The idea that we keep doing this is insane. It is insane. So yes. BV says it's not unfair to take subsidies away. It's unfair for my tax dollars to be given to them in the form of subsidies to funds they don't want. Accurate. I'm not fighting you on that fact. I'm saying what's the right way of changing it, right? And it is my view the right way is the way I mentioned it. One, it seems fair to the people who we've punished. And two, I think it's the only way to work. Any other way won't actually get the result that we want. That's what I believe. I'm open to being wrong here. But if you think I'm wrong and there's a better way, I'm good, right? But I don't see it. So yes. All right. Let's see here. Fatherful says, why is there no conservative party or liberal party or socialist party? Actually, there are. In New York State, there is a conservative party. I mean, it's not really a party. I mean, Jerry Cassar doesn't actually run a party. It's a parasite party. It just does whatever Republicans do. It's an embarrassment to conservatives in New York State. If you are an actual conservative in New York State, you don't have a party. I'm sorry. If you are an actual conservative in New York State, you don't have a party. There is a conservative party. It exists. It's just not a conservative party. It's a grifter party. So if you want a party that will respect you and you're conservative, that's the Libertarian Party. We will actually respect your rights. We will respect who you are. We will create laws and rules and regulations that will allow you to be you where you are. We will absolutely do that. So if you want a party that respects you, that's Libertarian. But you don't actually have a party for conservative in New York State, even though there is a conservative party. The Liberal Party used to exist in New York State. It went away. I don't remember the Socialist Party existing in New York State. What we have in New York State right now is a Democratic Socialist Party. That actually isn't a party. That's a caucus within the Democratic Party. It's actually very strong in New York City and a couple other cities too, but very strong in New York City. Across the country, there is a conservative party, and there's a Socialist Party too. And Howie Hawkins was their presidential candidate in 2020. So they exist. Those two don't exist in New York State, but across the country they do. So yes, I hope that was clear. All righty. Let's see here. Shelley says Democratic primary tomorrow. Sounds like a great place to tell people the truth. Signs, banners, trucks, tractors, whatever it takes. In theory, but you got to make sure you're not too close to the polling station. You don't want to get in trouble, Shelley. There's rules on that. So yeah. John says, when talking with people in my North Country community, I keep coming across people that are concerned about fracking and not willing to get up here. I tell them you are a big Gen 4 promoter, but they still want to know your stance on fracking. Please give me an answer to them. Here's the reality on fracking. I am not pro or anti-fracking, neither of them. And let me tell you why. Fracking should be a private property issue. The idea that the governor can make a blanket statement saying no fracking is terrible. What the governor should do is two things should be important. Number one, transparency. What's happened in the past with fracking is fracking companies have literally said, we're not going to tell you what we're putting into the ground because of intellectual property issues. Oh, it's IP, intellectual property. We can't tell you. No, if you're putting stuff into the ground that my people are going to have to deal with for who knows how long, you're going to tell us exactly what's going into the ground. That's number one. If they disagree and say no intellectual property, you can't frack. You got to be, well, intellectual property. Too bad you don't get to frack. You must tell the people what's going in the ground, number one. Two, everyone affected must agree. If everyone affected agrees and they're transparent, I don't have a problem with it. But if I understand right, there aren't many fracking areas in North Country. I'm pretty sure almost all of them are along New York State southern tier. I might be wrong on that one, John, but I'm about 90% sure that there isn't very good fracking in North Country. The fracking really is in southern tier. And most of the people in the southern tier, to be forward with you, most by percentage don't actually want it. But it doesn't matter. If you don't want it, don't frack. I'm not here to force fracking or to encourage fracking. I'm here to let you do what you think is appropriate in your world, in your county, on your land, as long as the companies are transparent on everything. And they have not been transparent. There's one more piece. They also have to have catastrophic insurance. And they don't. Why? What do you think? Why don't these fracking companies have catastrophic insurance? Because they don't have to. Because the EPA, not the FDA, the EPA protects them. Yes, the Environmental Protection Agency protects them and says they are capped on how much they have to spend, and the rest of the cleanup will come from the Superfund, which has no money in it. That's why you have all these sites that just sit there, never cleaned up, because the EPA protects the companies. Remember, the government, you're not the customer. The big business is the customer. You're in the way. So the EPA protects them. So that's why they don't have to worry about it. So they got to, one, they have to be transparent. People have to agree. They have to have catastrophic insurance. If they can't do those three things, no fracking. If they can, I'm fine. Whatever they feel. I hope that was clear. But I don't think North Country has much fracking in it. I'm ready to be wrong on that one. But I think it's really just our southern tier of New York. So yes. Excuse me. All right. Daniel says, that literally would have been the best plan. Grifters to the core, Dems, Republicans, local all the way up. Yes. Imagine, guys, if in reality the Republican Party thought it could win and wanted to win and didn't want to grift. They would have taken that $11 million, put it into me. I would have had multiple lines, and I'd be the next governor. But they don't care about that. It's not their issue. They don't mind. The guy who's running the Republican Party in New York State is Nick Langworthy. He's literally running for Congress. He's running for Congress. I thought he's the head of the party. He's running for Congress. No, when I'm running for office, I'm not leading the party. I'm running for office. They're two separate things. So he became the head of the party so he become popular enough so he could run for office so he could grift. This is grifting everywhere. And the sad part is most New Yorkers are just being grifted and are thinking they're winning. I had a guy at one of my events I was at tell me, he said, Larry, just taking votes from the Republican. I'm like, first off, they're not his votes. They're just votes. But second off, he's not going to win. And worse, he's not going to make any change. How do I know? I've had my policies on my website for 5 years. They're great policies. People really like them. No one's taken them. Why? They don't care. Take them. They're free. Nope. They don't care. So yes, absolutely. So, all righty here. Let's see here. Pete says, anyone have $11 million? If you do, that will be awesome. Thank you. If someone happens to have it, that will be awesome. Yes, absolutely. Adam says, you're not anarchist enough for me. Well, yes, but you know what's funny? I'm glad you brought this up, Adam. There are a lot of people who are libertarians who are much harder core in their rhetoric than I am. But if you notice, I rarely attack people's rhetoric, whether it's more milquetoast, whether it's more anarchist, whether it's more ANCAP. I tend to not really attack the rhetoric. Why? Because it's all valuable. Different people are moved to our movement by different rhetoric. So I want all of the rhetoric for the right people to come to us. I want them all to come to us. I'm greedy, Adam. I want 7 billion, 8 billion libertarians. I want them to all come to me. So that's what I want. So it's all good. And no matter what, I am much more of a mainstream candidate than many libertarians. I fall much more to the mainstream. I am the only mainstream candidate who will say we need the anarchist part of the people of our movement in our party still, in our movement. People say, why? They're mean, they're jerks. Some of them are. And if you're one of them, you know who I'm talking about. There are people in that movement, that population, who are mean and nasty. That's true. And selfish too. That's true. Absolutely. And the anarchist side of our movement, they are the people who are what I call our North Star. We got to be pointed towards them. We are nowhere near that world of a voluntary society. This country is nowhere near it. Not even close. I would like to turn us to face it at least. Let's look in that direction and see what that looks like. Let's just look in that direction. When we have problems with poisoning baby food, let's not look at the authoritarian direction. Let's look at the freedom direction. If we go in that direction, we're going to be better off, is all I'm saying. So, Adam, I'm with you. Absolutely. Yes. So, Dave says 60-40 Democrat wins, no more than 40% of the Republican in New York. Yes, I think it's lower than 40. I think it'll be on 30%. That's my gut. I think he loses by at least 15 points, if not 20, at least. The last guy lost by 20 points. So, yeah, it's worse. 100%. I agree with you, Dave. I think you're totally right. So, oh, Michael, it's Heinlein's razor. Thank you, not Hanlon's. Thank you. Heinlein's razor. Thank you. Thank you for correcting me. I appreciate that. Yes. All right. Let's see if I can go here. All right. Avi goes on. Larry, it pains me to say that, but this state doesn't deserve you. I appreciate you trying to be the voice of reason in this sea of insanity, but then you take your time to another state. Well, there's an issue here, right? To be forward. How do I take my town to another state? I'm a New Yorker. Right? What I'm gonna move to Tennessee and say, let me tell you Tennessee people how to do things. No. It would take me years to understand Tennessee, I made Tennessee up because I was thinking about moving there a while ago, but it would take me years, maybe even decades, to understand Tennessee, to even be able to make it clear to what is right and wrong and and then who am I? I'm going to walk in, hi, I'm from New York, let me tell you Tennessee people how to do stuff. No. Can I tell New Yorkers how to do stuff? Yeah, I'm a New Yorker, been in my whole life. Yes, I can talk trash about my state. Yes, I'm a New Yorker, I can do it. And I know the state. I've been across the state literally for 5 years, every single county. I know the state very well. I know people in every county. Literally, I know people in every county. Yes. I could literally get a bed in every county if I wanted to sleep at night. Yes, in every county. So I think, how do I move that to the state? Plus, for me to take, it's going to sound crazy, but for me to do what I do, it is a massive sacrifice for me. I don't work. I don't make money. I spend less time with my family. I get punished constantly. If you see the stuff people write on social media, I get dragged all the time. I get disrespected constantly. This is not fun, if that makes any sense. It's painful in many ways. If I'm going to do this, Avi, it's got to be a payoff. And the payoff isn't in dollars, because it isn't. The last time I ran, I was in debt at the end. I'll be in debt at the end of this one too. So there's no financial payoff. But there's got to be a payoff in that I make some impact. I make some change. People do stuff. And the fact that I was able to get 107 people, as libertarians elected in 2019, that was worth it. That was a payoff, right? I saw there was change. We had a movement in the state that was happening. Then the state took it all away. So for me to go someplace else and do this, I got to feel like I can make some kind of impact like that. There's got to be an impact payoff. If there is, then I would do it. So I think that's why. But I get what you're saying, though. Yes. So Paula says the feds make it very hard to be an organic farmer. Yes, indeed. You are correct, Paula. Which is why we must defend people from the federal government in that regard. Phil says fat, dumb, happy people spend money. Drug companies make money off the same crop of people when the crap food makes them sick and overweight. Government makes money off of drug and food companies that make compliant, fat, dumb, and happy people. Hello. I'm going to change one thing. The people aren't happy. The people are worried or scared. I think that's a big piece. They are concerned. They're not good enough. And that's why they spend so much money. I think that's even more important. That's the most important piece. Yes. So, all righty. Let's see. Patty says, a technicality back in 2016, that was we need to write in Bernard, not Bernie. So is it technically Larry or Lawrence for the writing? It is Larry. My name is Larry Sharpe. Yes, it is Larry, not Lawrence. I am a Larry, not a Lawrence. So I hope that's clear. Thank you for that. I am absolutely that. So yes. All right. Bill says, if Sam thinks ordinary people are bad, does he think government is made up of saints? Yes. Yes, he believes that. 100%. People got mad at me and said, well, when I was saying he's making money, right? He's going to private doctors. He's got employees. People said he doesn't exploit his employees. So Sam doesn't, but everybody else does. Yes, Sam does believe that he's special. He does believe that government is special. He does. Yes, I know your head's ready to explode, Bill, but I think, yes, I think he does think that. That will be yeah, he does. Absolutely. John says, you can be coming to the fair soon. Yes, I'll be heading up this weekend. I will be up this Saturday. I will be at the New York State Fair this Saturday. Saturday or Sunday? No, Saturday. Saturday, I'll be there. So absolutely. If you guys will be at the New York State Fair this Saturday, I will be there. I will be putting up a bunch of events coming up in the next 2 to 3 days to where I'll be this weekend. I'll be someplace Friday evening, Saturday evening, and then Sunday also. So I have 3 days. I will be traveling next week, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. I will let you know where they are coming up here. So yes. Fatherful says, I haven't heard good things about Vosh from Republicans mostly. Yeah, Vosh is very controversial. That's true. But again, I am trying my best to, make things work to the best of my ability, right? And meet people that I can meet. That's my goal. As many people as I can meet, I want to meet. So I'll take who I can get. I know it sounds weird that I would say that, but sometimes when you're doing what I'm doing, I very often get disrespected or pushed to the side by media. So I go out of my way to get any media that I can possibly get. And it isn't always great, but I'll take it. I have to. So yes. Josh says, why hasn't Biden descheduled cannabis yet? Waiting until election time. Josh, I think yes. I think two things. One, I actually think Biden is old school. I think him and a lot of people actually think cannabis is bad. I know your head's ready to explode. But no, I think they believe that cannabis is actually bad. That's number one. Number two, because of that, they'll only legalize it when they think they'll need it. And I think that'll be election time. I'm gonna say it publicly. I've said it before and I'll say it again. I believe in 2024, Biden will not be on the Democratic ticket, and I think Trump will not be on the Republican ticket. I think by 2024, neither will be on the Republican or Democratic ticket. That's what I think. Some of you think I'm crazy, but I'm going to make that call right now. I think they're not going to. Neither one of them is going to run on the major. I mean, it's possible one might try to run independent, maybe, but I think neither of them will run on the major tickets. That's my prediction. We'll see if I'm right, but that's what I think. I think both will not be on. Luther says, "Hey Larry, please tell me that Webster near Rochester has the most libertarians and Sharpe fans and voters in all of New York." Just confirming. That is actually possible, Luther, because Western New York is my strongest area. My strongest area is Western New York, absolutely. By percentage, it's areas of North Country. By percentage, because the population is so small in those areas. If I get 100 guys, I got half the county. So yeah, so I'm teasing obviously, but by percentage, I think there are parts of North Country where I got like 20 some odd percent of the vote by percentage, but by numbers, without question, Western New York is the biggest. So I would say yes. I think my best county by percentage was Steuben. I think I got 9% of the vote in Steuben. So yes, absolutely. All right. Let's see here. Father says, Larry, what do you think of universal health care? That's a loaded question. Do you mean single payer or do you mean just universally covering people? I think covering everyone's a great idea. I love the idea. I think the idea of single payer, meaning there's one payer, is not going to work because you're going to create a two-tiered system. You see it already happening here in New York State. And when I was on Sam Cedar, he even acknowledged the two-tier system here in New York. He lives in New York City also. So he knows. He lives in Brooklyn. I live in Queens. It's a two-tiered system. The wealthy people or middle class and above people go to private doctors who don't take insurance. And then everyone else goes to insurance doctors. So that's going to happen. They're going to be a two-tiered system. The doctors who are left over will be in the universal healthcare system, managed healthcare, where everything's via phone, fighting insurance companies, that. And then the wealthy people will all get the cool doctors. That's why Sam is totally okay with Medicare for all. He's not going to be on it. You are. He's not going on that. He's going to go to his private doctors. He actually said during an interview that, he's going to drop $1,000 on a doctor. That's a lot of money to drop on a doctor and a private doctor. And I've gone to private doctors before, right? I live in New York City. I go to private doctors. And I don't drop that much money on a doctor, but he does. So his doctors are more expensive than my doctors. By far, by the way. Far more than my doctors. They're very, very expensive. He goes to them. He doesn't get what you get. You get whatever's left over. That's how it's working right now in New York City. That will move on to the entire nation. So we have to come up with my plan, which was I want everyone to be able to go to cool private doctors. I want to shift our current system eventually over time to a catastrophic insurance system. That I think should be universal. To be forward with you, I'm okay with a universal catastrophic system, meaning that you have regular cycles. You go to the doctor, do things, but you all of a sudden get caught with, you get, a massive, terrible sickness, cancer, heart attack, whatever. You have catastrophic insurance. So you don't go bankrupt because of your health. That I think makes a lot of sense. I'm okay with that concept because even wealthy people will often have that kind of insurance. They'll have catastrophic insurance, but they'll just pay out of pocket for their normal stuff. And I think we can move it to a system to where the dollars go down, administration goes down. How do I know this? Again, you look at the non-essential healthcare system. In every case, pricing has gone down, accessibility has gone up. We have to follow that. I think that's the way we have to fix this. I hope I answered your question. So, yes. Phil says Tennessee's a great place. You'd like it there. I thought about going to Tennessee. I really did. And that's why I was saying, if I went there, I'm not going to all of a sudden be, yeah. Logic says she agrees. Yes, thank you, Logic. You agree. I'm not just going to, hi, I'm going to just do stuff and take over stuff. That's not going to go well. So absolutely. So I want to ask one more time, guys, if I could, several things of you. If you like what I'm doing, you see the value in several things. Number one, any media that you consume, whatever that is, TV, radio, internet, whatever you consume, podcast, reach out to those people, whether it's a phone call, an email, and say, hey, you see what happened to Larry Sharpe in New York? They're trying to throw him off the ballot, suing him. He's suing. He's still fighting. He's fighting here as best he can, trying to fix these third-party things. You ain't talking about third parties. Why don't you have Larry Sharpe on and talk about third parties? Do that. It matters tremendously. Tell the more you do it, DM them on Twitter, whatever. Tweet it out there, whatever. Do that to the best of your ability. Second piece, every single piece of New York data that you see out there, every little piece of New York content you see, hashtag write in Larry Sharpe. Put that in there. Hashtag write in Larry Sharpe. It's going to help tremendously. Next, you can do this too. Free. All stuff's free. Like, comment, and share this into other groups. If you're part of another group that might want to hear this, share it into that group. Share it on your actual page. Share it into other things. TikTok, Facebook, whatever. Share it to the best of your ability. It does matter. Also, help my sponsors for this page. Click this specific link. Go to the world's smallest political quiz. Click that link. Go there. Share that link in other places too. Let people take the quiz. Why? They'll start seeing what libertarianism is about, what moderation is about. And if they become a moderate or a libertarian, not too shabby, they might come our way. Love to have that happen. If you can volunteer, please do so. We need people who can help on social media. We need people who can do editing like there's no tomorrow. We need a lot of editors. I'm putting a lot of content now. I need editors like there's no tomorrow. If you can edit, we need it. It is very important. Video editing. Yes, very important if you can do that. If you can't do any of that stuff, no worries. Throw me some cash. Donate. LarrySharpe.com/donate. Give what you can give. If you can give it monthly, that's awesome. If you can give it in a chunk, that's good too. As long as you don't go past $44,000, we'll be okay. If you can give $5 or $10, that is going to help. That's gas. That's ads. That matters. That's signs. That's pamphlets. That does matter. If you're in a spot where you can give more, where you can give $500 or $1,000, we could use it. The trip this weekend is going to cost at least $1,000, if not $2,000. So if you have that kind of cash, if you're in that spot, please do so. Right? Larry, what are you doing? I'm putting in my own money too. I am. And I'm not working. So I will be in financial debt. Don't feel sorry for me. I knew what I was doing. I volunteered for this. I knew what I was doing. I'm just letting you know I'm giving. I'm bleeding. I'm asking you to bleed too. If you say, Larry, I want to bleed, but I don't want nothing for it. Okay. Go to LarrySharpe.com/shop and get a cool shirt like this one. Hold on. Cool shirt like this. Hold on. Cool shirt like this one. If you want to, get a cool shirt. Get a bumper sticker. Get a sign. Put on your front lawn. Get a sign. Put on your front lawn. Get the card magnets. Put them inside of your car so people can see, oh, it's a Larry Sharpe mobile. Do that. So you can then give and get something. You say, Larry, the shirt is a little expensive. Yes, because it's also a donation. That's why you're spending extra for the shirt. So you can get a shirt and still donate. Yes. So either donate if you can. If you say, Larry, I want some for it, shop, pick up something. Pick up something and do that to support the show. And to support, my campaign. It does matter. I'm out here trying to make things happen. I'm still fighting. Do you not think people are telling me to stop fighting? Of course they are. They're still suing me. I'm still in court. The conservative party in New York State, and if you are a conservative in New York State, I don't know why you're supporting that party anymore. They are literally spending tens of thousands of your donations to keep me off the ballot so that you don't have the option to vote for me, because the Republicans and conservatives in this state think, well, competition is fine, except for us. That's usually the Democratic thing. Look, they can be bad too. There we go. So yes, if you can. And of course, I always say, like, comment, share. It does matter tremendously. I really want to make this happen. If you can, please do that. So yes, I'm going to grab some more of these here. Let's see here. Carl says, if you want everyone to go to private doctors, you have to use the government to establish universal rate for medical visits. Not necessarily, Carl. That's a great point. What you can do is, and again, you see this happen already. The way you begin this process, and again, this process is not 5 minutes. This process is several years to begin. And I've made this, I've talked about this before, but I'm happy to bring it up again. And that is for those people who are in places like Medicaid, Medicare, like that. They know, actuaries know about how much money you're going to spend every year because of they put you in a box, right? You're X age, X gender, you're this, you're that, and you go to your box, and they know, oh, Carl, he's going to probably spend, because he fits in the box, about $2,000 a year on healthcare, or whatever the number is. Sake of argument, $2,000. You just get a debit card, $2,000 that can only go to medical personnel. That's it. You go to a doctor, you swipe it. But Larry, I run out of it. Then you can go right back to Medicare. Medicare doesn't go away. They just gave you the money up front. What winds up happening? Well, there's your extra cash. What winds up happening is you can now go to the doctor you want to go to for whatever you want to go to. If you want to, use a cool doctor. And when you run out, you go to Medicare. You might decide, you know what? This thing I'm doing, maybe doing a checkup. I just want a regular checkup. I don't want to use my dollars. I'll use Medicare for that. I won't swipe my card. I'll use regular Medicare for that. But now I have a special test I want to do, or a special issue I'm concerned about. I want to go to a cool private doctor. Use your card for that. If you don't use it for a year, you save it up. You wind up getting a savings account with your health plan while still having a backup plan. What happens when that happens? You'll start thinking differently about how you use your medical expenses. You will naturally do so. Some won't, but most will. They'll think, oh, okay, do I use this? Do I use that? You'll start thinking the difference between specialized and non-specialized. That's a mindset change. But the second piece happens. Now, doctors who don't take insurance will go, wait a minute. So I can get Medicare, Medicaid money without all the admin? Yeah, absolutely. So Carl's going to be happy. Come in, swipe your card, get the cool doctor. He goes, hey, Carl, we don't come back next week. I'm going to run out of money on my card. Oh, well, if I don't have to use admin, I'll lower my price for you guys. And people go, they'll never lower the price. They always lower their price to have more people coming in. That's common. That's called the market. That's literally happened in every single other world except for whatever the government runs, like education, which keeps going up no matter what, and medical, which is what the government runs both, keeps going up. But in non-essential, in every case, price has gone down, accessibility has gone up. So over time, all the prices will come down as the admin goes away. Less people will take Medicare and Medicare except for catastrophic. And over time, you'll shift into that. We'll have a much better situation. You'll still have Medicaid, Medicare. If the world ends, you'll still have it, but the whole world will begin to change. You'll find people doing something else here, which is the future. And this goes to, believe it or not, computers. If you go back, say, 15 years, the most computer or PC business repair shops were what's called break fix. When something broke down, people would pay by the hour to have it fixed. That was what it used to be. That's what our current medical system is now, Carl. They get paid when you're sick. You're broken, they get paid, right? That's why when you go to these places, what you'll have is they get money for you being sick. So you always end with either a procedure, a test, or prescription. That's how they get paid, right? So you're broken, they get paid. And the computer world has shifted. It's now you pay a flat fee per month, whatever computers you are, right? You got 10 computers, you pay $5 computer or whatever is the number, and they just try to keep things running. But it's a flat fee. It's the gym model membership, right? That's what healthcare is going to go to if we do it. There's companies doing it already. One of them is actually called Forward, like the party. It's called Forward. They do it now. They're $150 a month, I think. And it's like unlimited. You can go, and there's technology and such, and it's basically package a membership. You pay every month X dollars. Well, imagine if you could pay that $150, $200 to have that, plus catastrophic insurance that the government covers. Now we got a real system, and more of that will begin to happen. That's what I'm saying, Carl. I don't have to have exactly the answer. If the government establishes universal rate for medical visit, you will retain a two-tiered system. Powerful, wealthy, famous doctors are simply not going to accept that. They just won't. And wealthy people aren't going to accept that. And as you've seen already, they run things. So when the billionaire says, I'm not going to accept that, it's not going to happen because they pay the Republicans, Democrats millions of dollars in lobbyists. That's a fantasy. So I get what you're saying. Never going to happen. It is a fantasy. Not going to happen. So let's instead let everyone have a better system. I hope I at least answers your question. I know that not everyone agrees with me, but I hope that at least answers your question. So yes. All right. Let's see here. Let's see if I can keep going here. Well, you guys give me a lot. I appreciate that. Yes. There we go. Why don't you want to end Medicare, Medicare? Yes. You go on, Carl. I would if I thought that we could find an answer for catastrophic, right? That's the issue. I would end them, Carl. Absolutely. If we could find an answer for catastrophic. I don't want people going bankrupt for getting cancer or having a heart attack. If we find a better answer for catastrophic insurance, of course I would. Of course I would. But we have to change our system to make that work. And right now, our system would not function. We just ended Medicaid, Medicare, the system would collapse. There'd be so many people literally dying because we don't know how to repair it. And I'm saying this plan allows the market to shift and adjust to make up for that. So I would want to, but people right now need services. I don't want people to die because of it. I want things to be better. I hope that makes sense again. I know some people don't like it. They get mad at me. No, you got to get rid of everything. I get it. Yes. Lodge says, sounds good to me. Just need to figure out. Okay, that's something else. That's not for me. Yes, absolutely. That's not for me. Guys, I want to say thank you so much for today. I appreciate all of the questions and comments. I appreciate you watching. Give me so much time. I hope what I said made sense. I hope you're still behind me. We are rocking and rolling, making things move. I'll have at least 3 or 4 events coming up here soon this week for this weekend. I'll put them up for this weekend. You'll see me back upstate again, doing my stuff yet again. I'll see you all very soon.